The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
Second pay-per-view of the month of October, and it is a good one coming from Abu Dhabi, Etihad Arena. Ilia Topuria taking on Max Holloway in a featherweight main event title fight. We've also got a great co-main event between Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev, and we are going to be talking about it all from a gambling perspective. Hello, everybody. Brett Okamoto alongside Ian Parker. Very excited to get into this main card at UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi. But first, we'll take a look back at the last UFC Fight Night card from the Apex Arena. It was Hernandez versus Pereira. How did we do on our best bets, Mr. Parker?
Brett, in the last two cards, we've gone 7-2. Last week we went 4-1, and I'm kicking myself over to Michel Pereira because he looked pretty good in that first minute and a half in that first round, and then Fluffy took over. It's kind of what we thought was going to happen, but the rest of the card went in our favor. Font and Phillips to the distance. Charles Johnson to win over 1.5 rounds. Asu Almabayev winning over 1.5, and Elise Reed on the money line. I'm really liking those to win over 1.5. It's a little bit of a cheat code instead of having to play the decision. So let's look towards a couple more of those for this week.
Yep, a little bit of momentum going into UFC 308, and we're going to take a look at this main card. It is a special start time, so keep that in mind. It is on ESPN Plus as always, but it's 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway, Robert Whittaker, Khamzat Chimaev, and then a lot of other good fights on this card, especially on the main card. Magomed Ankalaev taking on Alexander Rakic in a very, very important light heavyweight bout. Dan Ige on the card taking on Lerone Murphy. We're going to be talking about all of those in detail, but let's start with the main event. Max Holloway taking on Ilia Topuria, and there has been some line movement in this, some money coming in on Ilia Topuria. He opened at -165, now all the way up to -260, so a lot of love from bettors on Topuria. You agree with them, or at -260, are we going to find some value here on the former champion Max Holloway?
You know, it's an interesting question, right? Topuria's got that confidence, that trying to, I think, build up that Conor McGregor aura and energy. For me, it's hard to really tap into that because, yes, he did knock out Volk. Not many outside of Islam has done that. But you got someone in Holloway who's never been dropped, never been knocked out, fought everybody in 2 different divisions, is good everywhere. He's a smart fighter, stays out of danger. And he's fought guys like Ilia Topuria before. So if you're a Max Holloway fan, you think he's going to win, you're getting great value. If you love Topuria, that -165 number is fantastic. Brett, I think this fight's going to be way more competitive than people think.
Yeah, so you laid it out there a little bit that you think it's going to be competitive. So how ultimately are we going to try and play this? There's been obviously a lot of talk back and forth. Ilia Topuria saying that he's going to come out and point to the ground in the first 10 seconds. How do you see this fight going, and ultimately how are you going to try to play it, Ian?
Yeah, I think if he points to the ground, Max Holloway's just going to stand there and smile because that's not what the whole point to the ground means. Max even said it. He's trying to take his thing, at least do it the right way. That's the last 10 seconds of the fight, not the first 10. Brett, we're going to go with a double way to win this fight. I think if Topuria wins, he's going to do something no one's done before, and that's knock out Max Holloway. But if Max Holloway gets it done, I think it's going to be by decision. So we're going to go with the double method there. You know, and now that the over-under also has gone from 4.5 to 3.5, I don't hate that over 3.5. I think Holloway knows that Ilia carries power. He's going to use that jab, try to strike from a distance. I also wouldn't be too shocked if Ilia Topuria did wrestle a little bit just to get closer inside so he could throw those hooks. But for me, Topuria by TK or KO or Holloway by decision.
You know, I tend to agree with you that if Ilia comes out, as he says he will, and point to the ground, that Max will decline the invitation. However, because of all this talk, there are some props out there to take a look at, and that is even you can bet it to the fight ending in the first 10.5 seconds, 100-1, if you think there's going to be a flying knee, Jorge Masvidal type situation. Any of these interest you, Ian, or are those just fun to take a look at, but don't put any money on them?
The only one that I would consider is the 60-1 Holloway to win by TK or KO in the last X amount of time, because he just did that to Justin Gaethje. That's your point to the ground moment. And you know what? If he's winning a decision at that point, Topuria is going to be throwing anything can happen. I don't think the fight's ending in 10 seconds, 60 seconds. They're fun. That would be wild. Not going to happen, though.
Yeah, I tend to think so too. And you know what? Honestly, I don't want it to end in 10 or 15 seconds because I really want to see this fight play out between Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway. It's such a terrific fight. So is the co-main event. Khamzat Chimaev coming back from a year off at 185 pounds, taking on Robert Whittaker. This is a situation that I think a lot of us have been looking forward to. Both guys full camp, prepared. This fight was supposed to happen in June. Now it's happened in the co-main event at UFC 308. It's still a 5-round fight. Khamzat Chimaev the favorite here. How do we feel about this middleweight co-main event? How are we looking to play it?
Brett, if this was a 3-round fight, I'd be all over Chimaev. He's got a really good 100 miles per hour wrestling game in that first round-ish. However, he wasn't able to get Usman out of there. And Usman, as great as he's been as a fighter, he's not a middleweight. Khamzat Chimaev has not even fought a top 10 middleweight yet. It doesn't take away from his skill. It's just the reality of the situation. He's fighting someone in Robert Whittaker coming off a great win, okay? And now he's also fighting someone in Whittaker that has a good cardio. He's got a great gas tank. I think will be the better striker. If he could get out of round 1, I see Robert Whittaker going a little bit further here. So I like over 2.5 rounds. I don't think he gets finished in round 1. I think he weathers the storm. Gets into round 2, have to defend a little bit of takedowns early. And then end of round 2, round 3, 4, and 5, he takes over. And Brett, I'll even take it a step further. You want a long shot prop that's fun? Give me Robert Whittaker to win by knockout or TKO in round 4. You're getting over plus 2,000 on this. Khamzat, his aura feels a little different. Maybe he's just a little nervous. He hasn't fought in a while, but Whittaker has that knockout power. And if Khamzat does gas out towards that end, I think Whittaker can do it. So over 2.5, take Whittaker as the fight goes on.
Yeah, fascinating fight. It's one of those fights where I feel like if we watched it 10 times, we might get 10 different outcomes. You like it to go a little bit longer here on this one, and then potentially on a long shot prop, Whittaker and KO in the 4th round. Some picks there by Ian Parker there in the co-main event. Let's look at the rest of this main card. Magomed Ankalaev taking on Alexander Rakic is a very, very important fight at 205 pounds. Who do we like here in a fight where 2 guys are looking to get a title shot out of this?
I think people got to get that bad taste out of their mouth with Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz. Ankalaev has been doing great work ever since. I think he's extremely well-rounded, and Rakic is coming off a knockout loss to Yuri Prochazka. Give me Ankalaev to win this and to win by decision. He can wrestle if he wants. He'll strike from a distance. This guy is going to be the biggest threat to Alex Pereira in this division. He wins this, he gets a title shot next.
That's a really good fight. So is this one. Lerone Murphy taking on Dan Ige, and you like the upset pick, plus 235 for Dan Ige. How come?
Come on, Dan Ige gets off the couch and takes Diego Lopez to a decision. If that was a 5-round fight, Ige beats Diego Lopez there. He's been training. Lerone Murphy has not fought this high level of competition yet. Ige is tough, durable. This is going to go all 3 rounds. Give me the dog in Ige here.
All right, and then to finish it off, we got the Pirates, Shara Magomedov taking on Arman Petrosian, and you like Shara the Bullet here at minus 170.
Yeah, he's essentially fighting at home here. He's fighting another kickboxer. Until he fights someone who wrestles consistently, I think he gets it done. I like him to win here. And if you want to get greedy, take him by decision. Petrosian's a good kickboxer. Shara Bullet, a little bit better. We'll get it done here.
All right, so you got picks for all of the main cards. You got a long shot prop on Robert Whittaker for the knockout in the 4th round. Let's take a look at the prelims. You can find those on ESPN Plus as well. And as always, Ian, you got a pick for every single prelim. There are a lot of them here taking place on Saturday, 10 Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. What do you got on the prelims, Ian?
We're going to go with Cerqueira over Ibo Aslan. We just saw Aslan fight, and he got a knockout in the 3rd round, but those first 2 rounds, I didn't love his defense. It's going to be a tough one for him here. Jeff Neal against RDA. This is fights flying under the radar. I think Jeff Neal gets this done by decision, and that is one of my props of the night at plus 115. Give me Orolbai over Rebecki by decision as well. Orolbai, I think this guy is going to be a dark horse in the division. We know Rebecki's strong, tends to gas. The fight goes on. We're going there. I'm going to boost Magomedov over Bruno Ferreira. We know Ferreira has power. Magomedov showed us in that last fight. His cardio's gotten better. He's got submissions. He's got good stand-up. If he takes his fight to the floor, he gets it done. We're going to go with Kennedy via KO against Chris Barnett. Too much of a size difference and reach. On top of that, I think this fight can go past round 1. Barnett's going to have to do something crazy to win here. Kennedy gets it done. Give me Basharat by decision. Victor Hugo missed weight by like 65 pounds, so we're getting a catch weight here. Basharat gets it done. Give me Nordiev, and last but not least, give me Renat over Carlos Leal. Leal looks like he's in great shape. I've called a lot of his fights. He doesn't have great wrestling. If he doesn't get a knockout early, he tends to take a lot of damage as the fight goes on. I believe Renat gets it done.
All right, there you go for the prelim picks. All those odds presented to you by ESPN Bet, and as is the long shot parlay. And you got a two-teamer here for our long shot parlay at UFC 308.
At plus 888, give me Whitaker and Dan Ige. You know, for Whitaker, we discussed earlier, he's got to get out of round one. As the fight goes deeper, it favors him. I like Whitaker in that situation. And Dan Ige, I think that's more of a coin flip with Lerone Murphy. He showed us so much in the fight against Diego Lopez. And look who weighed in as the backup for the title fight. It's Lopez. Give me Ige. Let's get that long shot this week.
Yep, long shot pays out 10-1. How about Parker's parlay for UFC 308?
This one looks a little gross. It's quite chalky, but I feel like all four guys get it done with no issue. We're going to get plus 160 on the four-leg. If you don't want to go with that minus 800, because, we already have him by decision as one of our props of the night in Farid Basharat. If you want to remove him, now drop down to plus 126. I still like Ankalaev, Oralbai, and Renat to get it done. That's Parker's parlay for the week.
All right, two-teamer on the long shot, four-teamer on Parker's parlay. One more thing to do, and that is the best bets. Where are we going at UFC 308?
Let's keep the winning streak going, my friend. Give me Abu Dhabi here. He is an extremely talented fighter. I think he's learned how to control that gas tank. Stay away from the power of Ferreira, and you can get it done. Whitaker Chimaev over 2.5. Whitaker weathered a storm in round one, dragged Chimaev into deep waters, and we cashed that ticket. I'm going Shara Bullet here. It's going to be a kickboxing fight in his backyard. We're going with that. Give me Oralbai to win in over 1.5 rounds. We did this last week twice. I love this. We're getting odds of minus 300 down. It doesn't have to go to a decision. We're going to do that. Jeff Neal to win in over 1.5 rounds. And last but not least, the main event, double method, Topuria by KO or TKO or Holloway by decision. And I'll see you at the pay window.
Man, only one title fight on this card officially, but it feels like two, with that co-main event being 5 rounds. Khamzat Chimaev taking on former champion in Robert Whittaker. Cannot wait for this main card. Don't forget, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. That is the start time for UFC 308. You can find it on ESPN+. For Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto. Thank you so much for watching UFC Best Bets. Hopefully we gave you some good advice, some good picks, and we will see you at the window, as Ian likes to say. And we also see you right back on this program for the next UFC Fight Night. Until then, enjoy the fights at UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi.